Did you know that dance breaks are good for your heart? That swimming can help you sleep better? Even roller skating can help keep you healthy. Learn how to make physical activity fun for you and your family. Visit cdc.gov/moving matters.
Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5.
So both of our winter sports teams, pro teams, are in business tonight, correct? Wild.
They are.
On the road against Seattle, as mentioned with Louis, and the Minnesota Timberwolves at home against the rather beleaguered. Who do you feel more sorry for, the Philadelphia 76ers or the Dallas Mavericks?
Mavericks.
Really?
Yeah, Mavericks.
Because you could say a lot of the...
Well, the Mavericks fans.
Sixers dysfunction is self-imposed.
Yeah, and I don't feel bad for Philly anything. So I'm probably the wrong guy to ask.
That's true.
Even the Sixers.
A lot of bad baggage there.
I know I like Embiid. I know he's been his worst enemy at times.
Big time lately.
But the injury stuff, that's real, you know.
Injury stuff's real, but it's his body. The fact that he's never been willing to get himself in shape makes it hard to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's the problem with him.
That's fair.
So he's out tonight, correct?
Yes.
Maxey, their best scorer, is out tonight.
Yes.
Paul George is questionable or likely?
He is questionable.
And he didn't play last night. They're one of the worst teams in ball. They're playing out the string. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. I've already declared this game loser-proof, which people hate. I understand the reasons for it. I just literally don't think Philly even has enough people to put out there to challenge us in a way where we might actually play with the food for too long.
But do you remember what Anthony Edwards said? Which team was it? Was it Washington? It was one of the bad teams that we lost to.
Yeah, we have lost to a few bad ones.
And there's like a half a dozen of those.
Yeah.
And this probably should get into PST if it's not. I don't think you and I talked about it at the time. He actually said that when the stars don't play
I remember that.
For the team, it's harder to know what to do defensively because everybody can basically do whatever they want. So random players can just go off, and they're all good players. They're all NBA guys. My response would be, well, then maybe just guard everybody. And if you have a guy, don't let him just blow by you, which Ant has been known to do from time to time. But that's what I worry about with this team. So if you can't even name the guys on the roster for Philly that are playing tonight at Target Center, this could be interesting. But yeah, Embiid out, Maxey out, Eric Gordon out, Kyle Lowry out. I don't know how often these guys were playing anyway. Gordon and Lowry, they're
Lowry, I think he's been out. Yeah, I don't know so much about Gordon. And I think we're like 18, 19-point favorites tonight.
Yeah.
That's a highly unusual spread in a National Basketball Association game. I mean, it really is. The Wolves don't have to win by 30, but they should win by 25 minimum this game without even really working up a sweat. And maybe we'll see the kids. I don't know. Because, I mean, I think most of the kids now are resigned to the fact they're not going to get as much playing time as we're getting healthier, right? DiVincenzo's back. Julius Randle is back. Rudy's still not back, right? I didn't ask Johnny about Rudy. Is he close? Do we even know if it's going to be soon on Rudy, or are we starting to worry about him?
Well, Finchie told PA last week, I don't know if he talked about it today or not, but he told him last week that they're close, but not imminent. He was talking about Rudy and Randall obviously came back. Yeah. He's listed as questionable, but Rudy, I don't know if he gave a more definitive timeline or not. I'm not sure. So the tip's at 7 o'clock. You can hear that game on the Timberwolves channel tonight on your iHeartRadio app. The Wild are on the Fan a little bit later tonight because they are in Seattle taking on the Kraken. Your guy Nyquist up on the top line with Rossi and Boldy.
It's all coming together.
It's got to be Gus Bus tonight, right? I'm trying to figure out who's in the net tonight. I always like to have that. I would think
he was in Saturday, right? And played well.
Yeah.
I would assume we'd come right back to Gus Bus, but I don't know. Who's to say?
So that's what's going on tonight, and I know you're excited about this. Hartsy's back. Ryan Hartman is back after his 10-game suspension that was reduced to 8 games. Hartsy is back, centering the third line with Hinostroza and Foligno. You can hear that game right here on the Fan. Speaking of hockey, I hope you don't mind. I asked Zach to provide a hockey update for us today because I'm going to be gone tomorrow, and I might be gone Thursday, just depending on how the Gophers win, right? Gophers have Washington. So I thought, and we just had Lou Nanny on to preview the state high school tournament, but I want to go to the belly of the beast now because our guy Halvey, who's going to have the call of all the games on the Plus as well as on the Fan throughout the weekend. Nobody covers it like Zach Halverson.
Now let's head to the X for a high school hockey tournament update.
Well, let me make sure he's there. Hang on.
I thought he was there. Oh, he's not even ready yet? Zach, are you there yet? Did you find him?
I found him.
That's outstanding.
Hey, Zach, you there?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I was just in the press conference for Bruce Pland after their 6-5 victory over St. Cloud Cathedral, and they're obviously pretty happy. A heck of a hockey game, the second of two great games here at the X thus far. It sets up a Class A championship game tomorrow between Hermantown and Monticello Annandale Maple Lake. So, Gaardsy, Barrero, it's going to be a
Why don't you catch your breath?
Yeah,
why don't you head to Trio?
Zach, are you all right?
I literally sprinted across the Al Saber press box.
Is there a medic at the XL Energy Center? Trio Orthopedic Center.
All right, we'll take over from here, and we'll get back to you a little bit later. You catch your breath. We don't want,
I think I'm ready.
You think you're ready now? You think
Yes, I think so.
All right, well then.
Hold on, if you're not, don't.
I got an echo in my ear if you could take that out.
He's got an echo is what he's going. Abbott. It's Abbott's fault that he's got an echo, probably. God, it never gets. So how many years ago was that?
It was like 10 years ago.
Is it that long ago?
Yeah, I think it was 2015 or 16.
Oh, that's emotional.
My biggest regret is that the following day we didn't ask our friends at the XL Energy Center to get the security footage from the press box of him sprinting.
Right. That would have been
they have cameras up there
everywhere
of him sprinting in the press box to make it. But in a bit of an upset,
Hermantown
is not part of the tournament this year. That was another tradition that we did.
That's
anytime we did
true.
any score update for Class A, we could say, Thief River Falls 2,
Hermantown
1. We're not able to do that anymore because for the first time in forever, they're not there. So all of our coverage starts Wednesday, Thursday on the Plus, as well as KFAN. Thursday and Friday night, the AA are right here on the Fan. We haven't even mentioned it. We started the show with it. I think everybody's aware of it now. But Sam Darnold will not be tagged. It happened. The news broke pretty quickly after the show last night, maybe 8 o'clock or so, that the Vikings were not expected to franchise tag Sam Darnold. They did not, in fact, franchise tag Sam Darnold. So he's essentially a free agent. The amendment or the addendum on the backside of those tweets, though, was that this doesn't mean that the Vikings are done with Sam Darnold, and that Sam Darnold might not be done with us. They still have some hopes of continuing the dialogue and perhaps coming to a conclusion that ends with him back in Minnesota.
There seems to be much fear and loathing about that eventuality, according to folks who are texting, and maybe they're the loudest. We'll get back to revisiting that subject later in the 5 o'clock hour, but for the record, the most important thing is no franchise tag, but every media outlet seems to indicate that does not mean that there's not ongoing discussions, which seems to suggest the possibility that there might not be as much of a juicy fat market across the league for him. On the other hand, it might well be, there will be a market now that they don't have to give up a draft choice to get him. They can just sign him, but by coming to terms with him. So it remains to be seen. The story, the direction it's gone, the Darnold Domino story, I do think is worthy of our getting back to a little bit later in this hour in a little bit more depth.
What was your favorite Kyrie Irving moment? By the way, Gus Bus is starting. Thank you, Kevin Fallness, for texting. And then the middle finger emoji after that, which I didn't think was appropriate, Kevin. But thank you for the info. And I wish you wouldn't be so graphic with the emoji game. That wasn't very kind. Gus Bus tonight. Kyrie Irving, torn ACL. Done for the season.
See how gutty he was? He still stepped up to the line
with
to shoot
tears
2
in his
free
eyes.
throws. Yeah.
That's
the only way he gets a chance to come back in the game. At that point, they obviously didn't know he had a torn knee deal. But there are nightmares and there are nightmares when it comes to sports. The Dallas Mavericks nightmare. You trade Luka, whatever you think of that, you get a good player back in return, but he played one half and got hurt. He's still out. And now the only other guy keeping you afloat, who's actually played very well and has been on his best behavior since getting there, Kyrie Irving, is now done for the season as well. And by the way, here's what's interesting about that. He was set for a massive payday this offseason because Dallas was going to have no choice but to pay him with Luka gone. But now he's probably going to have to be happy just opting into a deal, which I think still going to. I mean, he's not going to be starving. I think he opts into a deal, one more year, $42 million. But there are people saying he was going to get $50-55 million a year for 5-6 years moving forward. Then that Dallas is going to be ready to do that. Obviously, it's more doubtful that they're going to do that under these conditions when he has to prove he can come back from an ACL injury.
That's a buzzkill.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were people in the league who felt that if the big man could get healthy pretty soon, and they've got 3 big men out,
right?
That if they could get 2 of the 3, they had a chance to be an interesting little pain in the neck out,
definitely,
in the Western Conference playoffs. Yes. But now, of course, they're no longer a factor at all. They will completely crater because Irving was really the last straw that stirs the drink on the club.
And you feel bad for the business office department at times because they're at the mercy of what their basketball operations teams do. Yes. Did you see the other Mavs news today?
Yes,
that you just can't make up.
Ticket price, season prices
ticket
going up.
Stuff going out all over the league, right? Because everybody does these roaming memberships now where you pay for 10, 12 months for your tickets, and then you got to tell them now if you're re-upping.
Correct.
So everybody's doing that, Wolves included. And they're raising ticket prices by an average of 8.61%, which is, that's an average. So some are getting way jacked up. And others that are probably affordable are also getting jacked up and never good. I'm sure that was not a fun email to hit send on. And the response has been what you would expect from the Mavs public.
They are
not favorable.
The run on all levels at this point. That's for sure. All right, that's 5. We'll get back to the Darnold domino. We got some A-section stuff to get to as well before we wrap things up at 6:30. You can argue that to a certain extent, I buried the lead the last 2 days. A number of listeners have brought to my attention, and I think it's accurate, that Arby's has made a big announcement that the potato cake is back for good.
Yes!
And my recollection is that Arby's has brought it back occasionally for limited amounts of time.
Yeah.
And then it goes away again. But that now they're saying, I don't even know what permanent means, but the latest announcement, is it not, that we're done playing games with this thing.
And you people.
The potato cake is back for good. I have suggested for many, many years that I believe it remains the most underrated fast food compliment in all of fast food. That the potato cake, when it is properly fried?
Yeah. It'd be fried.
I guess it would be fried.
They dump it in the fryer.
Yeah.
Yep. Get the grease going.
When it is crisp enough, to me, it's the key to good hash browns. It's the key to a good potato cake. A soft potato cake is not appealing to most of us. Now, maybe you go ahead and eat it because you go, I've been waiting for the potato cake, and it's still a potato cake.
A soft cake is better than no cake at all.
That might be the better way to put it.
Yep.
But a properly crisped potato cake, I went through most of college, Indiana University, eating the following combination from Arby's. Hot ham and cheese, which I don't even know if they make anymore. Not the beef and cheddar, but the hot ham and cheese.
They do, and I know that because that's also what I eat there.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. And I had it as recently as like 2 weeks ago.
Is that right?
Yeah, just across the street here. But no potato cakes, which I was bitter about.
Well, that was it.
Because I hadn't been there in a while.
To me, they work together. It would be hot ham and cheese, in one order, a potato cake. And this was at a time when it was, okay, I literally, for the rest of this week, I have enough money to buy both of those things. I don't even have enough for a Diet Coke, too, so I'll have to scrounge up a Diet Coke from somebody's room refrige at Wilkie Quad. I literally have enough cash to buy the hot ham and cheese and the potato cakes. And honestly, I can say, looking back on it, that I'm still not sure I've eaten a more pleasurable meal since. It's amazing how simple it was then, right? It wasn't gourmet. Obviously, you end up eating at fancier places and good places. But in context for the time, I don't think it's ever been topped. When when the hot ham and cheese is hot, the cheese is melted, and the potato cakes are crisp. Are you kidding me?
It's as good as it gets.
It's as good as it gets.
It's as good as it gets.
And now the potato cake is back forever.
And they still have, I think they call it the ham and Swiss melt now. I don't think they call it the ham and cheese.
Oh, is that what they call it? Because it was Swiss. You're right, wasn't it? Yeah, you're right about that. I don't even usually like Swiss.
Yeah, but I
like
Swiss.
that combination.
I love it. And I don't think that was always there for a while. I think they just brought that back recently. I think so, because there was a time when I didn't get that when I went to Arby's. And if I went to Arby's, I was always going to get that.
Right.
So I think that must have been gone for a while. I think it's back. They had some mini sliders for a while, too. That Arby's is like the one thing that has stood the test of time in this area where we work.
Yeah.
A lot of things have come and gone. Obviously, West End's a big development now. But that Arby's has been there since day one of me working here in 2003, actually. And so there's been some ebbs and some flows with Arby's, but they don't have breakfast anymore, which I'm bitter about. I used to love the breakfast on Sundays. Back when I worked on Sundays, I would always go through there, too. But the hot ham and Swiss is back, and now the potato cakes is back. All is right with the world.
For me, it is. And I'm very excited. Now, can't say I've been at an Arby's in a while, but I now going to make a point of trying to get back. Now, does Arby's still have the, I don't know that they had this when I was in college, but they have had it more recently. Among their desserts, the cherry turnovers.
I don't know. I'm not a sweets guy.
I'm usually not, with some exception, and that's one of the exceptions. They had, I think, apple and cherry. I'm not an apple guy, but they also have a cherry turnover that is outstanding. I don't know if they still have it, but it was that might be lunch tomorrow. Now, is it current or is it about to come back? Do we know the answer to that question?
Well, I'm looking at Arby's.com right now, and it says new item. First of all, potato cakes in their top pick section that has potato cakes listed. So you should be able to get potato cakes tomorrow if you go.
Now, has anybody we talked about this a long time ago, and then my recollection is that Starbucks couldn't keep it in stock.
They do have the cherry turnover.
They do have the cherry turnover.
According to their online menu, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
It's a big day tomorrow for you.
Do they have, have you ever had from Starbucks the potato cheddar and chive bake? Because we talked about it when it first came out, and then they couldn't keep it in stock. And so some places just stopped even saying, don't even bother, don't ask, we don't have it, we may get it in 6 months. So has that hysteria settled down? If you go into your average Starbucks, can you get the potato cheddar and chive bake, and how does that compare to the potato cake? Because it sounds interesting to me.
Yeah.
But is it effectively done? I don't know.
Didn't Lori Fisher get those?
She did.
She was the one, because I've never had them.
We asked her about them, for sure.
Yeah, I've never had them, so I'm not sure.
And I think she said, I thought she said they were good. But, they look delicious. Potato. So, the potato cake's got no cheese in it, right? The difference with this is it's got the cheddar and the chive all kind of, and these are squares. The potato cake is, what's the shape of a potato, geometric shape of a potato?
It's like a triangle.
Like a triangle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you order if you say one order of potato cakes, you get 2 cakes, correct?
That's
one order equals 2 cakes.
Yes.
And 2 cakes is perfect. 1 is not enough.
Yep.
3 might be too many. 2
I'd be
might
willing to try.
You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
2, though, I think most times works pretty well.
It does.
Then you can just sort of, my rule of thumb was, okay, I've got the hot ham and cheese. So when I'm halfway through the hot ham and cheese, I still want 1 potato cake remaining, right? I don't want to get to the second half of the hot ham and cheese with both potato cakes all but gone, right? You basically, you were disciplined about it, right? Because you want it, one works together
With the sandwich.
With the flavor. Does it not in the sandwich? It's tremendous.
They really have some good sandwich options, too. Like, I always win hot ham and cheese.
They actually do.
But the French dip.
They do. They have some good options.
They were like the first to bring the French dip into the mainstream, into the fast food business.
Correct.
Because French dip is like fancy.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's.
Now, have you been. I did it some in college. I don't think I've done it much since. The beef and cheddar, is it still with that runny, like that cheddar out of a can?
I think it is.
Is it still that? So is that still as bad for you now as it was then, or is it better for you?
It's probably still not great, but I think that's what they're rolling with. I'm looking at the whole menu here.
Yeah.
I don't see the ham and Swiss on here, but
You have had it.
I've eaten it multiple times in the last 6 months.
Oh, I hope it's not gone.
Yeah, that would be devastating. You know what I liked about...
That would be the next thing to try to bring back then.
What I liked about Arby's back in the day, because they have, the roast beef, and then you can get the double roast beef.
Yeah.
And then you can get the half-pound roast beef.
Oh.
And you order it like that.
Just,
I liked back in the day when they had the Big Montana. Do you remember the Big Montana? That's what they called their big roast beef sandwich.
Is it massive?
It's weird I had to do so many weight loss endorsements. This is all very puzzling.
The Big Montana.
The Big Montana.
Wow.
And I think it was a nicer way of saying, I want like a full pound of roast beef. I don't know what the measurements were, but the sandwich lived up to the billing. And you rolled up there like, I'm getting the Big Montana today. With the potato cakes and the cherry Coke.
Well, why not? Sometimes you say, I got to go big, right? I'm not going to pretend.
And you go Big Montana. They had the TV commercials for it. It was all very rustic. Felt like a cowboy. Montana.
Penn State gal writes, I was just at Arby's. You now get 3 potato cakes with a single order.
Oh, wow.
That's Penn State girl.
Is that like a promotional idea, though? Are they getting us hooked on the cakes for 3?
That's probably...
Is that permanent?
I don't know. It's a good question. Well, because like everything's in bulk now, right? I mean, there is a tendency to kind of end up with more than you really need. Arby's needs to bring back the Grand Turkey Club. I agree. I thought that was a good sandwich too, and it felt like it was a little healthier than some of the others.
They have a turkey bacon ranch sandwich now. Looking at the menu.
Thinking Ain't Gal checking in. Is there a better bit than Hermantown? Probably not. And this is the time of year we tend to run it.
Hermantown?
Into the ground. If not now, exactly when. Let's make this the bottom of the hour pause. Let's revisit the Darnold domino and where this story might be going and how devastated the average Vikings fan would be if we end up coming to terms with him and bringing him back. Because I sense that there's a large majority of Vikings fans are going to be bitter if we pay him more than $1.95. So we'll revisit the developments of the day, some of what Seifert told us on this subject much earlier in the show, and get to a couple of A-section items, including some leftover thoughts regarding the Oscars. And a big night tonight. I think the president is speaking to the nation and to our legislative branch, are they not? To Congress.
I did see that.
What could possibly go wrong?
Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, bringing you an expanding library of education with even more ways to sharpen your trading skills. Access new online courses, insightful webcasts, articles, engaging videos, and more, all curated just for traders. Plus, guided learning paths with content designed to fit your unique interests. No sifting to find exactly what you need, so you can spend your time learning to trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
The Atlanta-based Arby's sandwich chain created what it believes is an ironclad promise never to remove potato cakes from the menu again. Arby's will sue themselves if the potato cakes are taken off the menu, so customers are urged to sign up to be part of a pre-class action lawsuit in which the restaurant brand will pay out $1 million worth of Arby's food to be split among the signees. Should Arby's go back on its word. And it even there's a sign-up. Arby'sPotatoCakesLawsuit.com or call 1-833-LAW-SPUD to be part of the lawsuit.
Maybe we should do that on the air.
The crispy golden triangle-shaped potato cakes were taken off the permanent menu 4 years ago, briefly returning for a limited time run last July in celebration of Arby's 60th birthday.
I remember I went and got some on that occasion for the office.
Did you?
Yeah. You had a couple. I think. I got some for you.
Interesting. Customers have been loudly demanding a permanent comeback for some time with social media mentions for the potato cakes return topping 10,000. I mean, Arby, this is what you got to love, right? If there's that much interest, that's exactly what
it's internet buzz
looking for. And I guess times have changed when it comes to the cake, because apparently you can get it in orders of 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
Depending on what else you're ordering with it. So you can apparently get as many. See, the problem with me getting 4 cakes is I'd eat them all.
Yes.
That's why I know my lack of discipline. So I would prefer to get 2, because if I get 4, I ain't going to save. Potato cakes don't save well, as I recall.
And why would you want to save them?
And why would you want to save? That's exactly it.
It's a big moment.
Those who sign up to be part of the pre-class action lawsuit can also redeem a DoorDash code to receive free delivery and a 2-piece potato cakes between Feb 27 and March 25. So Arby's still has the crinkle fries, still has the curly fries.
Yeah.
And now is bringing back the potato cakes as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, that's what we're being told and confirmed by a lot of texters to the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line 64686.
Okay.
Now, I'll say this about Arby's. My last couple experiences over the last few months, the curly fries were a good option.
They were.
If you didn't want to go with the potato cake.
They were.
For whatever the reason.
Yep.
I've been underwhelmed by the curly fries.
Oh.
Recently.
It's a down year for curly fries.
It seems like, a little. Now, maybe they were putting all their efforts into the cake.
Yeah, it's possible.
As they're trying to bring that back. It's hard to be great at everything. You got to focus on different things to be good at them. So I'd like to think that the curly fry could make
a comeback.
Because you need like a good curl with some good crunch, but not too much crunch, and a good girth of potato in that curl.
All those things are important. You're right.
To me, at least.
Given Larry Mondello guy writes, given your history, I'm so proud of you guys for correctly identifying the shape of a potato cake is in fact a triangle.
I did have to think about it.
But I have a follow-up question for you. What type of triangle is it? A, equilateral, B, right, C, acute, D, obtuse. Also, did Gaardsy hear about Brett's doozy calculation last week? Yeah, he had one too. I brought him into our math calculations thing, and he had as much trouble, if not more so, than you did.
It's just like playing initials or program password.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier in your car.
It is. There's no question.
I wish I could explain it to people. It's a lot easier in your car.
All right, let's attempt.
By the way, to answer his question,
yes,
no idea what kind of triangle it is. If it's equilateral, it's not isosceles. I know that.
It might be isosceles.
I don't think it is.
No?
No. What makes a triangle isosceles? Do you know that?
I don't remember. I don't think it's equilateral, though. We'll find out.
I guess
somebody will know. You looking at a photo?
Equilateral, all 3 sides are equal. I think it is equilateral.
You think it is equilateral?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But I guess I'll have to get one and report back.
I guess I'm the idiot. Potato cakes reheat awesome in an air fryer. I would assume that's true. We don't use air fryer as much as we once did, but because they're messy. It's one thing about the air fryer they don't tell you. The aftermath, cleaning, etc. But I would assume, you use your air fryer
get
properly,
it crispy.
You absolutely can reheat a potato cake. That'd be the one place where you get away with it, and it would not go soft on you. It would continue to be extremely crisp.
There are companies that make the potato cake. It's like a hash brown, basically, and they make them in the triangle shapes, and you can buy them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh,
but nothing's like the Arby's one. I don't know if they've got a special seasoning or if it's the grease they use.
So the word confirmed earlier today at the 3:00 deadline, the Vikings have not franchised Sam Darnold, the starting quarterback from last year. I think for most people, they then assume that, okay, then it's over. It's officially over, and the team has decided that it is okay with the fact that they're not going to get any compensation for a guy they helped to rejuvenate. And part of the reason given was the Vikings, in the end, feared whether they could count on a trade partner that would take said player off their hands, thereby taking the contract, or the 1 year part of it at least, the $45 million off their hands. And they didn't want to run that risk, because then you're back to spending too much money at the quarterback position. On the other hand, a lot of the reporting indicated that the Vikings, this story is not over for the Vikings, that they might well believe that they can be in the free agency mix to re-sign Sam Darnold, along with some other teams around the National Football League. They may well be counting on a couple of things. One, the market not being as robust as originally anticipated, thereby bringing the price tag down considerably. And two, they may have some confidence that they already know from the quarterback, that he might well be willing to take a discount. Unlike Kirk Cousins, that given his history, especially if there are no home run offers, a la the Kirk Cousins offer by Atlanta a year ago, that he might be far more willing to make some sacrifices and to come back here. Now, that raises another set of questions. If indeed the Vikings are still in the mix to perhaps signing him to a 1-year or 2-year deal at a more reasonable price, and that is what you guarantee him. Do you guarantee him the starting job at least at the start of the season? I think, in effect, you'd have to start him at the start of the year. Seifert was not so sure. As we said earlier, it's a trickier issue this year than a year ago with Darnold, if you bring him back, in that McCarthy presumably will be healthy this time around. And because Vikings fans have already decided he's going to be a legend, then the first moment in the first game that Darnold struggles, the J.J. chance will start, whether it's in front of your TV during a road game or at the People's Stadium during a home game.
Fan line would be a miserable experience for Nardo and Ron Johnson.
There's no question about that.
Because it would be all JJ all the time.
Yes. So that is another, I guess you could say, factor here. I still think if you bring him back to start the season as the starter. I also think you can't rule out the possibility that maybe you see McCarthy emerging, and as that takes place, a couple teams lose their starting quarterback, and suddenly you have the possibility, too, of we're ready to hand the keys to McCarthy permanently. So let's see if we can make a killing. What did we give up for Sam Bradford? We gave up a 1, didn't we? Or was
we did. I think it was a 1 and a 3.
It was a lot.
I'll double check. But
I don't know if that's realistic anymore, but the fact of the matter is that's another way to go. You might have some flexibility there. What's fascinating to me more generally is my belief is that the average Vikings rube is bitter about even the possibility that Sam Darnold might come back this year, that they have decided it's over. It was a nice run, but it ended badly last year, and we want to start the clock on McCarthy. I've said, and I'm going to stick with this, that despite the way it finished, I'm not going to put all of that on the QB, and I'm going to say if you can get him at a reasonable price, and it has to be an extremely reasonable price, I have no problem bringing him back, no matter how badly it ended last year. I don't think it needs to be that clean where, he's got to be completely and utterly gone. But the question is, what is that price? I've said if you can get him for $20 million a year for 2 years at $40 million, I guess the other way to do it is just 1 year, 20. Would he go for that?
Right.
Again, it probably depends on what else he's got. But he may want to bet on himself and say, I'll do another 1 year, double my salary from a year ago. And what I know is if I finish stronger next year than I did this year, I'll either force the Vikings' hand to actually consider keeping me forever, or I will enhance the chance I have to get a better free agent deal if I can show the league I've had 2 consecutive good seasons. And so the folks who thought, well, there's kind of something fluky about this, they'll have less reason to say so if he follows up the first good year with, let's say, a second year where he plays almost as well, and maybe we win a playoff game. Or maybe perish the thought we get to the NFC title game as well. I don't know. So that Seifert thinks we'll find out quickly that early next week we'll know pretty much whether he's going to re-sign here or go elsewhere. But there's too many signals from too many people who are good reporters to think that there's not at least some belief in that building that they are going to still take a shot at bringing him back, especially if they find that the market is extremely soft for starting quarterbacks.
We'll find out quickly because the free agency window opens, right? Next week. I think it's the 10th.
Yes, 100%
is
true.
when the tampering period opens.
Yes.
So they've got to figure that out before they do literally anything else, I would think, because that's going to be a big chunk of money, even if it's not $50 million or even the franchise $40.
Correct. Yep.
Say it's 20 or 25, that's still nearly half. If it's 20, it's a third of what you have available. You've got to have all of that figured out pretty quickly, I would imagine, before you start to figure out other holes. Bradford was a first-round pick and a conditional fourth-round pick back in 2016.
1 and a 4. Mm-hmm. Think about it. And what did we get out of him? We didn't get much, didn't we? And then didn't he get hurt?
Well, we got moments of, wow, this guy can play.
He could fling it. He had an arm.
But he had bad knees.
Yeah, he couldn't move.
Bad knees. And that's when Case Keenum showed up.
1 and a 4. Did that turn out to be a legitimate player? Do we ever find out? Do we know what the player was?
I think we did. I think it was one of those good players that they have already right now.
Yeah.
I think. Because people were going through all their draft picks and where they got them from and all of that.
What did we give up for Josh Freeman? Did we give up much for him? Was that the same? That wasn't the same. Was that the same year?
No. Freeman was 2013.
But it was in a stretch of where we're just desperate, right, at the quarterback position. About Spielman, right? About giving ourselves options? Because the Freeman thing didn't work out very well either, as I recall it.
They didn't need to give up anything.
He was just a free agent. That makes sense. Yeah.
1-year deal worth about $3 million.
The midget guy says he needs a ruling here. Is the news about the Arby's potato cakes considered to be A section or toy department? It's a good question. It's certainly not A section.
No. Where would it be in your old paper?
It's closer toy department, but it would be I guess
variety.
It'd be the variety
or
section.
Life.
It would be like Wall Street Journal. I think it's Life, but I think in the Star Tribune, once upon a time, it was called Variety.
I don't know
if
the
it
variety
still is.
section.
So I'd have to come up with a kind of a cute name for that one. I don't know that I did over the years.
Wall Street Journal, would it be lifestyle or health? I'm taking a look at that.
Well, I think it'd be Life.
Yeah, probably lifestyle.
Might be Life.
Yeah, food is in their lifestyle section.
Air fryer cleaning hack. Put aluminum foil at the bottom. It's not a microwave. Just toss the foil one down. That's interesting. So you can do, because a microwave, you can't put foil in there or else you'll have an explosion, correct?
Yeah, you'll get some sparks.
You have some problems. But I guess that makes sense that if it's an air fryer is very different than a microwave. Now, what does that do to the crispness, though? Does the aluminum foil somehow get in the way of the same crispness experience?
I don't know why it would, but I don't know. We don't use the air fryer very often either.
That's interesting. I have to think. Yeah, man, that might be a reason to bring it out of mothballs.
I was going to say, give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
You're going to have to try it.
Experiment with it. There's no question.
That'd be good social media content. You work in the air fryer.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a flatter isosceles triangle, somebody's saying, the potato cake.
Isosceles, 2 sides are equal in length. Not all 3. Like equilateral, all 3 sides are the same length.
So isosceles is correct, we think. No or no?
See, I think the cake, all 3 sides.
They are all the same.
It looks like it to me, but again, I haven't had one in a while.
Have you ever measured?
No. Should we do that?
Yeah, we could. That's one way to do it. We have to actually get it.
Well, somebody has to have gotten it in the time that we've talked about it that's listening just because of us. I'm sure they had to have driven by an Arby's and were moved to get one. So if you got one here in the last 20 minutes, take a picture of it and let us know. Try to measure it for us.
I've been in meetings all day, so I have no idea what happened regarding the franchise deadline, etc. But the potato cake talk is riveting. Is this the abyss?
You're welcome.
Well, it would be, no, I would say it is the abyss, but we're just as capable in heavier news periods of talking in depth about the potato cake because it's been a regular feature of this program going back many, many decades for really very organic reasons. A favorite of mine, a favorite of Gaardsy's, as it turns out. A favorite. Now, there are a lot of people who do not like the cake, the potato cake. It's never been, and I don't know if part of what I like about the cake is it's one piece.
Yeah.
Too,
Yep.
And it's not as messy in that regard. Fries, you got little individual fries and they're all over the place. The cake it's one entity.
And I like the outer texture of it.
Yes, very much so.
Which is why I like tater tots too. And you're a big tot guy.
I'm an incredibly big tot guy to the point where I tend to not order tots at places that have them because I'll eat them all.
We just were somewhere and I got
Snuffy's got really good has tater tots, and
that's true.
I can't get them because they give you too many. If they were, I almost want to say, just give me about 9 tots, because if you give me the usual 25,
they're gone.
I'm going to eat them all, and then I got a bucket in my gut the rest of the afternoon.
Some things are worth it, though. You got to decide what's worth it.
So you're hedging your bets a little bit on, it sounds like you're ready to move on Darnold, move on, it's over, and you're not sure you're willing to say, well, if you can get him like 2 years, $40 million, you're not even sure you want to do that. Is that, you're kind of torn on that?
I'm very torn on that,
I would do that.
But part of the problem is it just kind of re-entered my frame of reference because 2 months ago,
it seemed over.
I would have done that for sure.
Right.
I would have said 2 years, $40 million for Darnold.
But more recently, it felt like the ship had sailed. Right?
A little bit.
If we're not going to chise him,
right,
and we're not franchising.
No. So I'd really have to think about it. And like I said earlier in the week, and probably last week as well, what changed it for me was how much money the Vikings have available, how few draft picks they have, and how many holes we think that they have that they're going to need to address here in the next couple of years to be a contender with whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Darnold or JJ.
True.
And so I guess I got to know more about the free agent class, who's available, where would this money go if not for the quarterback? Because offensive linemen, obviously, those are expensive. They're tough to get.
True.
Which you need. We obviously know they need help in the secondary. I think they want defensive linemen too. And so that's where I'm torn, is I really got to think about the financial ramifications of all of it. And would that hinder your ability to really address a few things this year? Because I like the GM in where he's about to operate, the free agent market. I think he's done a pretty good job in the free agent market, identifying players, good scheme fit guys, good bargain guys. The defensive guys he signed last year were all pretty much home runs, right?
Correct.
I have a lot more faith in him operating where he's about to than, say, the draft, where it's more of a mixed bag, and they don't have very many draft picks this year. So I want him to have as many resources as possible financially to go, as we say, let Kwesi cook a little bit in the free agent market. And that's where I'm a little hesitant on giving Darnold all that money, even though 2 months ago I wouldn't have even thought twice about it.
It's a bargain. It'd be nothing. What do you think will happen at the State of the Union address tonight? I do not think you can rule out a potato cake food fight by the time the evening is done.
Don't let this one get away. The Northwest Sports Show, March 13th through the 16th. At the Minneapolis Convention Center. You can find the newest in fishing and outdoor gear, boats, RVs, travel, power sports, and more. No better time to try, buy, and save. And make sure to join Nordo from 9 to noon on Friday the 14th from 4 to 6 for the Friday night fish fry. All the details at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
A number of people are trying to stand tall on behalf of something called, is it the potato olé? From Taco John's?
Very good.
I've never had it. Is it
good.
Comparable to the cake?
It's different. It's more like a tot, but they're like flat discs.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
Are they spicy? Because I don't like spicy.
No, I don't think they're spicy. I don't think they're crunchy enough for you.
A little too soft?
I think they're a little bit too soft.
Okay.
We used to go to the Taco John's in St. Peter on the way back from training camp broadcast in our 9 to noon days.
Yeah.
And we all caravan down there together. Simpler times. We'd meet at Canterbury and all drive down there. And I remember Kevin Gore.
Does Taco Bell have a cake of some sort? Do they have a comparable item?
I haven't been there in a long time, even though there's essentially one on my street.
Yeah. We're close by. You're right.
They, to me, never had a good side. Like, they had, like, cinnamon sticks.
Oh.
I don't know if they still have them. And they were fine, but I don't know if they have a better side. So, in my opinion, they never had a good side, different accessory to the meal.
To the question about what will happen at the State of the Union address tonight, it's technically not a State of the Union, I don't think, because he just got into power, but he's addressing, obviously, the Congress. Here's my fervent hope, and I know it's probably hoping for too much. There are a number of different theories being offered up about how the Dems might deal with it tonight in terms of forms of protest and walking out at various points or holding up signs or exposing themselves.
Is there anything Pelosi can rip? She did that once.
That's right. She did do that.
The State of the Union?
Yeah, she actually, the speech, or copy of the speech. I hope, I know I'm hoping for too much, but I would say don't lower yourselves to that level. It's not, I don't think it'll make you look good. I'm not saying you necessarily have to stand for give the standing ovations that the Republicans are going to give Donald J. Trump. That's the bit, whoever's in power. But I hope it doesn't become a series of stupid stunts that will seem just whatever you think of the childishness of this administration. Again, early, if you lower yourself to that level, it's not going to look good, but my fear is that's partly what's going to happen because it's going to be under the classification of we got to do something. Can't just take it. It's like, well, whatever you're going to do, it really should have very little to do with listening to whatever he is going to offer tonight. But I'm not optimistic that anybody that'll be a very professional scene. It is worth noting, and we got into this once before, but it's rearing its head again, over, my belief that we're seeing largely more performance than governance to this point, which is the kind of politics we've been railing against for a long time on this show, whether the Sharks or Jets are involved with these antics at various points. But we have this is the second major sort of Sirwanga from Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. And as we said the first time, they have had a tendency to make bold billion-dollar declarations of money saved, only to 2 or 3 days later very quietly remove those particular declarations because they were based on nothing other than performance. This, again, is not me saying there cannot be waste that should be exposed and dealt with. I think we all agree that there's an arrogance about, well, we just spend and we spend and we spend and we don't really have to explain it to anybody. Not what we're saying here. The question is whether you're actually getting anywhere other than simply performing. And according to a recent national piece, the DOGE has again deleted hundreds more claims about, they call it their wall of receipts, right? To show you how much money we're saving you, each and every one of us. And the latest deletions erased $4 billion in additional savings. Late Sunday night, the group erased or altered more than 1,000 contracts it had claimed to cancel, representing more than 40% of all the contracts listed on its site last week. The deleted items included 5 of the 7 largest savings that it had claimed credit for just last week. It was the second time in a week that DOGE had deleted some of the greatest claims of success. Early last week, it erased all 5 of the largest savings it had claimed within the wall of receipts, which is what the group is calling its list of canceled contracts, was originally posted on Feb 19. So we've gone from
that are easily correctable.
Our claims have gone from cutting contracts from $16 billion at first to less than $9 billion, and I'm not laughing at $9 billion if that's real. Even that, though, is now being called into question. And from the start, the list has been full of errors, claims that confused billions with millions, triple counted the same cancellation, or claimed credit for contracts that had ended, wait for it, years or even decades before. Contracting experts said these mistakes raised questions about DOGE's basic understanding of the federal government at a time when Mr. Musk's group is attempting to rapidly overhaul it. So, among those, let me give you a couple examples of the largest claims that disappeared. They're just gone. $1.9 billion savings that the group said it had achieved by canceling an IRS contract for tech help. But the Times reported that the contract was actually, wait for it, canceled in November while Joe Biden was president. Minor detail.
Interesting.
for $149 million savings attributed to canceling a contract to provide 3 administrative assistants to the Department of Health and Human Services. The entry on that site on the site last week also contained numerous errors, including linked to a different contract with a different company that had nothing to do with this particular deal. And there's several more that are on the list as well. So it's worth paying attention to because, in theory, it's noble. We certainly, I think, have seen the swath cut way too recklessly and way too wide, and to the point where it has become destructive. And if on top of it you're not even beginning to save as much money as you've suggested that you're going to make, then you have an even bigger issue. For all the obvious reasons, you lose a lot of your credibility about however noble your intent may be. How well watched will it be tonight, do you think? My guess is pretty well watched. Trump speaking to the Congress.
Yeah, it'll be well watched. I don't know what the millions are that usually watch these things, but it will be well watched. I assume all the networks are running it, right? So,
yes. Well, I don't know that, but I'm assuming so too.
Check the guide here.
Yeah, my guess is they would on this particular occasion.
I don't think everybody's going to be locked in on Wolves 76ers.
Who gave the at the Oscars? Who won and gave this? What was apparently one of the longer speeches.
Was that Brody?
I think that was Adrian Brody. Went Barrero on the bit with a lengthy speech that got kind of uncomfortable because he did the old, basically, you can just turn down the music. I've done this before. I know what I'm doing.
I love that.
And
I kind of like when they do that.
And well, the problem though is I didn't hear all of it.
I didn't hear any of it.
I heard some of it though, and it falls for me under the classification of, again, I hate to overuse the term, it was very performative. And why can't we be nicer to one another? And why don't we understand how important it is that we encourage the best of it? It's stuff that is largely, I guess you could say, true, but I just don't know whether people in 2025 have the stomach to hear those kinds of lectures from members of the popular culture in that regard. It's like, I'm not saying shut up and act.
Right. Ricky Gervais had the best line about all of it, though, when he did it. It's like, no one cares. You're here to act. He didn't shut up and act. But.
I listen to it and watch it every year because the long version was so well crafted.
Yep.
And he felt liberated because he said, well, this is my last one. So I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel about all of your posturing and all of your performing. And you are in no position to lecture anyone about anything.
Right.
He was ruthlessly vicious and effective to the point where the most entertaining part of that speech largely was the reaction within the room. And that was Golden Globes, wasn't it? I don't think that was Oscars.
I think it's true.
Golden Globes.
He had a Golden Globes run. I don't know if he ever did the Oscars.
Yeah, I don't think he did. I think it was whatever it was.
He had a comeback on one of them.
There's nothing more entertaining than the phony, plastered TV smiles that people hold on to even when they're getting savaged. And it's the old, I'm going to pretend that I've got a good sense of humor about this and I can take it, and you can go ahead and hammer me. When in fact, of course, they're thinking nothing of the sort. They're MFing him is what they're doing, but they're doing it with the smile on their face because they're afraid the camera's going to be on them. And they've been conditioned to say, well, I've got to have that plastered smile on my face because I don't want to have anybody have the impression that any of this is actually getting to me. Correct?
My favorite part of the Gervais stuff was when he would then do the media tour after and be asked about it. And I think it was the Today Show where he defended himself and basically said, I wasn't in a room of wounded soldiers. Which is such a great way to describe it.
Yeah, it is.
I wasn't in a room of wounded soldiers here. We're talking about Hollywood actors, okay? They're great. We love them. They provide entertainment.
There's
but
no question.
It was so good. It was so good.
Extremely well done.
He was just on Smartless. I don't know if it was an old... Oh, you know what? No, I listened to an old episode of Smartless with Gervais from like early in the pandemic, and it's...
Well, what is he up to anything right now?
He just kind of does what he wants.
And now at this point,
he does a lot of stand-up because that's the one place that really can't cancel him.
That's true.
That's what he said at the time. He goes, you're coming to me. As long as people are booking me, I can. Again, he doesn't do anything that's crazy.
I don't even think so either. No,
he wouldn't be one that I would say is.
No, he's not on the outer fringe at all.
No,
but he was. It's easily Googled and it's worth. And the only recommendation is don't get the short version. Get the one that goes like a good. I mean, his whole opening monologue was brilliant on that night, beyond the one part that tends to get isolated. But I think that even that part is better not being isolated. It is part of the larger context of what he did in the opening segment. Now, there were a couple of jokes he did that even he, as he's one in particular, which I won't repeat, where even he was going, oh, my God, I'm not sure I could even believe I went down that road. But that he ultimately did, and then he got himself back on track, and then he basically, as you say, started mocking each and every one of them for all the posturing that tends to happen. And so I think the problem with the Adrian Brody one is not that what he said wasn't probably true, but that it's sort of stating the obvious, and that people just, I'm not sure they want to hear it again from another actor. Let's do this. Let's come back, wrap things up. I'll remind you why the Wolves game tonight is loser-proof, and we'll have details on what we have coming up tomorrow right here in the Fan.
Join Muss and Miller Lite at Big Louie's Bar and Grill in Crystal this Thursday from 5 to 7. Stop by to register for a chance to win a spot in the Vikings Foundation Golf Tournament. Full details at KFAN.com, keyword golf. Show wrap brought to you by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper show wrap.
So after a pretty quiet night last night on the local sports scene, you do have some stuff that might be of interest to you. On the Timberwolves channel tonight, you can hear the Wolves as they take on the Philadelphia 76ers here at Target Center. And the Sixers are a bad team, now pretty much done for the season, trying to preserve their lottery pick, and they're down to no players, especially if Paul George doesn't go. He was listed as questionable, right? Have we had an update on him? Because Maxey, their second best, their number one player, obviously, is Embiid. He's done. They shut him down for the season. Maxey's out with a back issue. There's several other players that aren't playing. Paul George is the only other recognizable name that might play, and he took yesterday off. So I don't know if that means he'll have more of a chance to play tonight. Sixers played last night. They are a mess, although they did beat Golden State the other day with buckets, I think. I don't think buckets missed that game. But I've called this game loser-proof tonight because even with the Wolves' propensity to play down to the level of their competition, I don't think it'll matter tonight because this is pretty close to a college team that Philly has left. They have nothing to play for at all. And so my assumption is that the Wolves should have no difficulty taking full advantage. I think they're favored by almost 18 points, which is a ridiculous spread.
And they've had their latest meeting, too. Game. They had the big meeting on the road trip that now these guys are coming back. Yeah, you got to sacrifice.
Everybody's got
to time to go. You got to have urgency.
No one can be offended. Now, if you don't get as many minutes as you had before, I think that was mainly for the youngsters who know that most of them are, Luka Gaardsy dead. He's done. It was a good run for Luka, but it's over.
Well, if Rudy never comes back.
Well, that's a good point. You're right.
They
Rudy's
still need a backup center.
That's true. That's the one thing that has not changed. If you're interested in hockey, the Wild tonight, later in the evening in Seattle, taking on the Kraken, trying to stay hot after their nice 1-0 victory matinee game on, when was that, Saturday?
Sunday against Boston.
Sunday, that's right. It was a Sunday matinee game against Boston. And so they'll try to keep things going tonight. And you did say Gus Bus is in the net again tonight?
He is.
Louis will
and
be
Hartsy's
on the
back.
Hartsy's back. Louis will be on the TV call if you are so inclined. And if you got a little bit of Louis what's the word I'm looking for? Withdrawal, because he's not going to be on the state high school hockey tournament this year for the first time in 60 years, then at least you can get a little Louie on pro hockey. And that'll be the case again. Is it Friday night they play Vancouver? And that's when the tournament will be going on, the state high school. So I'm assuming that means like our tradition of having Louie on between sessions. Dead. Think about it.
Maybe we should do Gorg.
Maybe we should.
Gorg's great.
Yeah, he's all, And
Parrish, obviously, we know. We don't know Clymer as well.
Yeah, we'll take that under consideration for the hockey community. We're here to help them.
And we'll always have Halvey.
Hermantown.
We'll always have
Maybe
Halvey.
we'll just mix Halvey in.
We could do that, too.
Hermantown.
Is he down about Hermantown not being in?
I think he's relieved that we won't be able to play it as much.
Well, I don't know.
He knows we're going to play it, but we can't play it as much.
Hermantown.
Kevin Seifert joined at 3:30. Plenty on the Darnold dilemma. And we heartily recommend that you podcast him. Louie did join to talk primarily pro hockey, but we did talk about his historic absence from the state high school hockey tournament. This is the first year, of course, in forever. So that was between 4:30 and 5 o'clock. Fan and Demand will follow us immediately, then Dan Patrick, leading into wild hockey. Kessler tomorrow. We'll talk to you at 3 o'clock.
Heck of a hockey game, the second of two great games here at the X thus far.